Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode where we'll be discussing foundational learning. And our guest today is Virginia. Virginia Ngindiru is from Zizi Afrique. Virginia, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul. And warm regards to our audience and viewers. I'm Virginia Ngindiru, Director of Innovation and Practice at Zizi Afrique Foundation. And in that particular role, I lead program design and implementation. So it's a pleasure to be speaking and sharing about our experiences in this field. And yeah, looking forward to the conversation, Paul.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Virginia. Zizi Afrique is a PaRL network member here in Kenya, and you've worked on a lot of innovations, and specifically your foundational literacy your foundational learning programs aim to equip children with foundational literacy and numeracy skills and socio-emotional learning skills. And to date, Zizi has reached over 100,000 children across Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, which is an incredible achievement. This number of learners. Just from your reflections and to help our listeners and viewers understand, why does foundational learning matter? And reflecting on the impact that Zizi has had so far, give us a story of a child or a teacher from your experience who can really bring out the importance of foundational learning.
Sure. So I'll start a few steps back on why Zizi exists. We are just about 7 years old, so you could think of us as a grade 2 learner who is just figuring out the literacy, numeracy things. And since our establishment, our vision is very clear that we are working towards all children getting the foundational competencies they need to learn and thrive. And when you talk foundational learning for us, it's literacy, numeracy, and life skills and values, as you clearly mentioned. Why this matters to us, a very interesting one. I think this is the second session today where I'm discussing why we do what we do. I was just in a strategy session just before lunch. And we're just reflecting on the misses we get if children don't acquire the foundational skills they need early enough. And, we shared a lot. We were having a session with our colleagues, looking at how it compromises on future learning opportunities, how it means a wastage of resources that are invested by, education ministries. Like there'll be a lot of resources invested into it. So when children don't learn at the end of the day, it's actually such a wasted, effort. But also more than that is looking at how it perpetuates the intergenerational cycle of poverty. Because we believe that education is the only way to equalize communities. It's the only way to give hope, to give, to secure a child's future, whether this child is in the urban, rural, northern parts of this country, or whatever region they are in sub-Saharan Africa. They deserve a fair chance at education so that they can increase their opportunities. And some of these, reasons compel us to really continue every day thinking about how do we collaborate and how do we engage both civil society and governments on improving and innovating around foundational learning. And so to date, we've had several innovations, and all of them have one thread in common. We are looking at bridging the literacy gaps, bridging the numeracy gaps, nurturing values, and supporting the acquisition of core competencies, or core competencies as the competency-based education prefers to call them. And taking, a few years back when we were having the Accelerated Learning Program, which was running in 3 counties, the county of Bungoma, Turkana, and Tana River. It was our signature literacy program and focusing on remediation. The memories of that program are really profound because we interacted with children who, even in grade 7, in grade 8, could still not read. And I'll prefer to call this girl Amina, who it's not the real name. She was from Bungoma, and Amina came into our learning camps without, she couldn't read. She was actually a beginner reader. And for beginner, for the sake of our audience, we are talking about children who are in grade 5, or a girl who is in grade 5 and who couldn't read simple words in English, 3-letter words. So they're quite basic. But after a 30-day intervention, Amina really recorded, significant improvements. And by that time, because she joined the program at grade 5, 3 years later, when she sat her KCP, Amina was the best girl in her grade.
Yeah.
And just seeing that level of impact and transformation into what the girl could do really is significant for us. So that's why we remain committed to, doing what we do every day, because we believe if we are able to collaborate with others, work with government level partners to ensure that we actualize the dream of every child who is in school, then that, will count as impact for us. Yeah.
That's incredible, and you mentioned how the ripple effect of how a child being able to read and do basic math has on them, not only them but also their community.
Yeah.
But also, I know that with the accelerated learning program, the learning interventions you're able to do in Turkana, Bungoma, and Tana River, that there was also community involvement.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, communities. It's as from where we sit, we've really learned, and I must acknowledge that the Accelerated Learning Program was a rich learning ground, even for us as an organization. When we started, I think we were just doing remediation and thinking possibly remediation could be the answer to the challenge we are seeing. Yeah. But over time and over the years, we've clarified and understood that actually the gap is between the curriculum and the interpretation process at the classroom. So when you think about, say, how curriculum designs are framed and packaged, the greatest challenge is in the teacher being able to take that and turn it into a meaningful learning experience for children. Yeah. So essentially, when it comes to working with communities and parents, we started on a very, light note, getting them to come to school, sharing with them about, how their children are performing. Yeah. And making the challenge or the learning gap vivid for them, because we would simplify the presentation of the data into a level in which they can understand, a level at which they can understand. So they will come to school, they would receive a kind of a report of how their child performed and what each of those levels represents. So they would connect that actually my child, for example, is in grade 4 and cannot read grade 2 words in English. And then from that, we would get into a conversation around how do you support this at home? And, what are the reasons as to why this is the case? And, the issues such as irregular attendance, issues around, complexities around the home, all those would emerge. Yeah. And so we just adopted 2 main strategies. One of them is community conversations, just inviting these parents into spaces where we talk and share about this challenge. And every parent taking up the little that they can, because we also believe that parents are not endowed, equally. Yeah. Some of them could be willing to support, but they don't have the competencies needed to support like issues like homework or reading. Yeah. And then the second part was home visits. And home visits was for us like a way of showing empathy to these communities and these families, wanting to follow up on these children who are regularly absent. Yeah. Because then it means in as much as we are intervening at the school level, if they are not present, they are not benefiting. Yeah. We came across issues that were so, complicated for us to solve. Yeah. Cases of even children who are taking care of themselves, or taking care of ailing guardians. And sometimes I think as a system, we may never realize just how much that, contributes or complicates the process of learning. Yeah. And even when we realize maybe we have not put structures in place to be able to address the challenge. Fast forward to 2023, we asked ourselves, so what? Yeah. We've had very practical experiences with families. We've had very practical experiences with households. We can resonate with the challenges. And so we began on our journey with partners from Rally Africa, the Regional Education Learning Initiative in Africa, and had partners in Uganda and Tanzania and Kenya coming together to develop a framework. And this framework will be like a guiding, document as we try to innovate around parental engagement and parental empowerment and engagement. So we've come up with a framework that we are looking now to adopt and partner with strategic partners that would see us now roll out very targeted campaign, looking at how we can get parents on board. And this will have a range of interventions from awareness building to capacity strengthening, because we acknowledge in as much as sometimes parents want to engage, they may not truly understand what the curriculum expects of them, or they may not even understand what proper learning looks like for their children in their various grades. So community really is coming up as a big thing, and we've come to appreciate that we cannot do this without parents at the heart of it. And it's our next big thing as we continue with the efforts around teachers. Yeah.
Parental empowerment and engagement definitely sounds exciting.
Yeah.
And a framework to involve parents in their children's academic journey, I think, is very, is an important step.
Yeah, and maybe one thing to just point out is we are looking at it differently, even for the teachers.
Yeah.
We are looking at practical toolkits that really will now be cascaded to the very classroom level, to the household level. So it's not the kind of development that we do where you just want to invite parents and say you just come and listen, then go home, do what you can do. But rather it's looking at it and asking ourselves, if really we are to achieve the ambition of every child acquiring these basic skills, what practical ways can parents be involved, irrespective of the education level, irrespective of where they come from, whether they're in the rural or the urban, just creating products and resources for them that can be able to support their journey.
Yeah. Thank you. Just slightly up, how do you think the collaboration with the schooling institutions, you've spoken about the community, but the schooling institutions, how did they facilitate the implementation of these learning interventions?
So at the beginning, we started by directly collaborating with schools, but we're undergoing an organizational transformation process as well. So we've realized that this challenge is quite significant because if you go by government data, it's about half of the children in grade 3 who are not able to read. That is what the Nursing Law of 2020 talks about. So when we come and reflect about it internally as Zizi Afrique, we are like, we are just one organization. We just have about 40 staff members. We need to think about a strategy that works at scale. And so we are gradually shifting from seeking direct collaboration with schools to now partnering with the key agencies that are mandated to deliver the various functions. So, partnering directly with institutions like Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development and looking at what is the gap between the design and the lesson practice and creating resources that are able to mediate in between. What is the gap between the parental guidelines that have already been published and the practices at the school? Why is it that head teachers still have not figured out this business called parental empowerment engagement? Why is it that parents are still too far away from, resonating with the conversation about the current reforms? So we are forming alliances or partnerships with key players, the KICDs of this country, the National Parents Association, the Ministry of Education, different departments, to handhold and support the process of demystifying or simplifying and creating practical tools that can aid the instructional process. So in 2018, 2022, I think we would go directly to the schools. We would not directly to the schools, actually, go directly to the county education leadership, collaborate at that level, then cascade to the school level. They would direct us to the schools. But you're now having a shift so that when we partner at the national level with the anchor institutions, what happens is we co-deliver the intervention. We learn together, we come back and improve together, eventually able to get a solution that works, for all the schools in Kenya, rather than, targeting isolated contexts.
That's an incredible strategy, especially for scale.
So, of course, our desire is to also see that some of this extends beyond where we are. So as we are partnering with government, we are also looking at civil society organizations. How can we walk the journey of creating together, but also having them support the delivery in whatever context they are in.
Incredible. Thank you. Thank you for that profound response. So now looking at how, the disconnect between the curriculum and the interpretation and the efforts Zizi Afrique is having with, bridging the gap between the design and the lesson practice, especially with teachers and parental engagement and empowerment. What are some of the challenges that you'd say are there from challenges and wins from citizen-led actions and assessments.
Okay. Yeah. So from the very beginning, we are evidence-driven.
Yeah.
And so I applaud citizen-led assessments because we have a history in Kenya where these were some of they contributed a significant part in bringing to life the conversations around why we need to think differently in delivering education. I think they are applauded as the reports that led to the ministries in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Uganda, acknowledging the challenge around the learning gaps.
Yeah.
And for that, I think we owe it all to the innovators behind the citizen-led assessments.
Yeah.
Because post that, the period between 2011 and now, because these things are still continuing through our agenda, with Uganda and other partners.
Yeah.
Between then and now, we have seen a lot of traction and a lot of investment by the ministries of education to address the issue.
Yeah.
And for Kenya specifically, it's the competency-based education discourse started just at the climax of the citizen-led assessment reports. And we applaud this because at least beyond creating a conversation around it, it has gone further to inform the reforms.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of now focus, targeted focus on competencies, targeted focus on thinking about who are the key stakeholders we need? How do we make parents part of this journey?
Yeah.
And, just how do we bring citizens along in the reform process? So that, I think, to me, has been the greatest win.
Yeah.
And post that advocacy at national levels in the different countries, they continue to inform even actions by other civil, community-based organizations.
Yeah.
I am aware of partners, community-based organizations who are partners of citizen-led assessments who continue to do their own interventions. So a case in point is Inspire in Nyeri.
Yeah.
And this person who, after the organization was involved in the assessments and they saw the need, they've really taken up a campaign around promoting literacy, creating reading programs in very marginalized regions, even having literacy sessions in the marketplace. I mean, people are just motivated to do something for their communities.
Yeah.
I recently spoke to a partner in Mandera, and he was telling me how they were inspired by the accelerated learning program, and they have gone ahead to create an intervention in Mandera. And, this is a partner we hadn't even met. I mean, we haven't trained them ourselves, but they have been closely following, and they have gone ahead to create an EdTech-supported solution. Yeah. So I think the whole idea about citizen-led assessments, revealing what the challenge looks like to ordinary citizens, has created a lot of agency. And maybe we need to be deliberate and look out for that and how that looks like in different communities, because I think so many people are doing amazing things courtesy of that data and those reports. So it's one of the very powerful tools for advocacy that I think has worked to date for the Kenyan context in particular. I don't think I remember the second part of the question. That was just the first part.
It was the challenges and wins for both citizen-led assessments and actions.
Yeah, and I think I've talked a little bit about the wins in terms of advocating around the issue at national, but also at community grassroots levels.
Yeah.
The challenges, of course, I haven't done direct, citizen-led assessments consistently, but I know some of the partners who've been there. The challenge has been, of course, sustained funding, but I must applaud the organizations that continue to do it, because somehow they have figured a way of doing it. And the fact that it's low cost, it's not a very expensive exercise. They have managed to sustain the tempo of releasing these results.
Those are really good insights. Especially, I like the element where you bring up, you mentioned bringing citizens along, and Zizi is doing that with parental engagement and empowerment. Which other ways do you think, especially in learning interventions, is it possible to bring citizens along?
So I should have actually mentioned that citizen-led assessments, the CLAs, have inspired a lot of action. because we know teaching at the right level is born out of that innovation. Accelerated learning program is an action towards that direction. We've had My Village, where we are bringing and mobilizing youths. And last year we also tried now a different iteration of My Village by partnering with teacher training colleges and having now the teacher trainees delivering the intervention programs. So I see CLAs as a tool for both advocacy and action. I think that's quite clear to date. And the second part is it can now be used to mobilize investment. I think what we haven't truly cracked, which we hope to crack with our work with parents, is what is this minimum resource environment that parents can create at home to promote and support foundational learning. I think it's a dimension we haven't considered. And I'm always of the opinion that if parents really are sure about how to invest at the household to support foundational learning, then this could be a real game changer in that. So I still think there's room to innovate around that and create avenues where parents can come on board. The second part is interestingly, Paul, last year there was a report released with Kenya ranking among the top 10. I think we are even top 3 in terms of individual giving. There was a global giving index report. And Kenya is ranking among the top 3, meaning we are really generous in giving. And this could be giving whether I'm educating my cousins or I'm educating my family or just neighbors or well-wishers. We have a resource in this country that we could explore on how further to utilize to promote, to support the action as part of the citizens. And these are alumni of schools. If possibly we had a campaign around Adopt a School and every alumni is adopting their own school with the sole agenda of promoting foundational learning, then this would really be a huge win. And when I talk about alumni, I mean every youth in a community is an alumni from a certain school. And we have villages. We've been talking with the member of parliament of Tetu constituency, and he has this very deep passion for improving foundational learning. And for him, alumni is a real thing because he thinks they have the resources. But his challenge is the educated people in his constituency leave and they never come back. And the most educated boys and girls in his constituency are taken away on scholarship by other, bursary and scholarship, offering organizations. And so the constituency ends up being deprived. And he has this ambition of bringing it back. I know, Tetu is a rich constituency, has very well-educated people, but the problem, they have been uprooted from their space to a different space. So I think there's still a window to see how we can catalyze, we can activate that agency where communities and alumni go back and invest. See this as an create the agency to invest towards foundational learning.
That would be a very incredible approach if citizens are able to contribute actively, and there are spaces for them to contribute actively. I think sometimes it's making them aware of those spaces, that those spaces exist and how they can contribute. And for example, CLAs have done a good job in showing the gap and now encourage a lot of citizen involvement, including learning interventions. So
and even at this, while at it, the greatest thing I see, the greatest asset for me with these citizen-led assessments is just how they are so convincing and just shifting the mindsets of people. When we started the accelerated learning program, we got a lot of hesitation, especially from the Heads Association, because they felt we were downplaying their efforts in terms of offering quality education to their communities. But I remember we had this strategy where we would take representatives from the education office, take them to a school, let them assess, and then come back and see whether we can connect now on the issue. And we've never faced resistance since then in this particular county. So I think the CLAs, they have very simplified methods, a very simplified approach of revealing the gap and showing it, just how it is. And that's a very powerful tool to shift the mindsets and to create the urgency among individuals.
True. because then, children will miss out on opportunities, as you said earlier, if they don't get, the proper foundational literacy and numeracy skills, and future learning opportunities also, could potentially be amiss. So what did you say would be the ideal state of foundational learning, as we look ahead at 2030, 5 years to go?
Yeah. 5 years into 2030, I think we have this very interesting quote from our ED, Executive Director, that we must solve the foundational learning crisis during our time, during our lifetime.
Yeah.
So we have 5 years to show what efforts or what fruits the current investments will bear.
Yeah.
To me, the ideal is where, one, we have very simplified curriculum that everyone understands and can appreciate where it's leading us to. Yeah. The second one is where the key implementers have the requisite capacities that they need to lead implementation of that curriculum. Of course, the golden standard is all children.
Yeah.
Reading for meaning, reasoning with numbers, and equipped with values and life skills that will see them, develop holistically as they grow. So my desire is that as we inch closer to 2030, we are able to unlock some of these pieces. So I see this as several milestones we should aim to hit by 2030.
Yeah.
Get curricula simplified to the level that it speaks clearly to the different levels of implementers.
Yeah.
But then again, we have an investment towards the requisite capacities needed.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I hope by 2030, we will have many more children demonstrating, the ability to read with meaning and reason with numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be, an ideal outcome. And already Zizi Afrique is working towards that, in that direction.
Yeah.
And now my next question would be, how is Zizi working, towards this vision to contribute to, solving this challenge within your lifetime?
Yeah, as big as it is, as enormous as the challenge is.
Yeah.
So like I shared earlier we are considering doing less better.
Yeah.
So we want to narrow our focus. I think right now we are a bit, overstretched. We have been looking at TVET, we've been looking at secondary education, we've been looking at primary. So we want to narrow our focus and really invest in the foundation years.
Yeah.
And then secondly is strategic alliances. We are now much more bolder in our approach, targeting the critical institutions that must have this conversation and working with them, co-creating the change together and working towards that change together so that at the end of the day, we are held accountable for the children we impact as a team. And then, of course, that means that a lot of investment in the demystifying or unpacking curriculum into practical tools for teachers, for parents. And I think that is where most of our effort will be spent in the next 5 years, looking at if it's about, parent and parental empowerment. What are those, what are we asking of our parents? Let's have 5 things that we want to pursue up until 2030 that will support learning. If it's about teachers, let's think about what are the key things they need to be focusing on. What are the instructional approaches they need to adopt in their literacy and numeracy lessons. Let's do that. So we are having these strategic partnerships with the key institutions, but not focusing on the very generic issues. We are really clear that our core business or our core contribution in the partnership is to unpack implementation by creating the tools, the approaches, and the frameworks that are needed to make it clear to everyone. Yeah.
Incredible. There is no better way to put that.
So towards 2030, I think collaboration is the thing for us. And we are saying it's both government and civil society. We must coalesce our efforts around the issue. And that one issue is around unpack implementation and curriculum delivery.
Incredible. And I like the co-creation and the partnership with government and working together in implementing these. Because I think one of the biggest question around the foundational literacy or foundational learning space is, being able to scale these learning interventions, and how can they be government-led and government-owned, and also how can we drive more funding in that direction?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And only government has the muscle, and government has the money.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, we just have minimal resources.
Yeah.
But government has the muscle. Government has the reach. Government has the structures.
Yeah.
So it's only about tweaking innovations to increase the effectiveness of those laid down structures. Because if you think about parents, you have national parents at the national level. Yeah. You have a national parents, a parent association up to the classroom level.
Yeah.
So it means if you are clear about what you're asking parents to do, it moves from the national to the classroom, and it can do that in a day.
Yeah.
For an NGO to think you can do that by yourself, I think it will take you years for you to reach all the schools. That's why we are always saying 50 schools, 100 schools, 200. But the government, if they wanted to reach every parent tonight through their structures, they will be able to do that.
Yeah.
So we acknowledge that that's a very huge resource that, if well utilized, can actually transform the learning system.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So PaRL Network is turning 10.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's for and Zizi, has been a key partner to PaRL Network, a member of the PaRL Network, implementing these learning interventions and contributing to the global advocacy and the regional advocacy that we do collectively as a network.
Yeah.
Where do you see the network? How do you see the network's role in achieving, this the great visions we have around foundational learning before 2030? And
all right. So I see two main roles. One is data and evidence. So and first, congratulations actually for remaining true and remaining loyal to the call. And just being very committed to the cause around data for evidence, data for foundational learning. And we've seen that in the efforts you've recently had about, really stepping forward to say the SDG 4.1.1, the indicator 4.1.1a must remain amongst the SDG indicators. So a huge congratulations. And that leads me to my first area of contribution, which is advocacy. I think we are at a moment where I don't know whether we are scared by the fact that we have invested quite a lot and we might get the same story, that children didn't learn enough anyway, after all these years of saying that quality education is our focus. So I see PaRL Network occupying the space around advocacy, really continuing to hold and to persuade governments to invest. The momentum right now is, the fear actually is that the education funding is reducing. And it's reducing at a critical moment because then we have masses of children in school. So if we detach from foundational learning as a priority area, at the end of the day, then it means we will be back to where we were many years back, where we were struggling with access. Because for as long as children are not learning, communities don't see the return on investment of having their children away. They would rather have their kids at home taking care of the cattle. After all, they can sell that cow or that goat, whatever it is, and earn an income. But we have persuaded them a lot around, it's important to bring your child to school because school has this value add into your quality of life. So we may want to continue high-level advocacy, making sure that we don't lose the focus on foundational learning, so that governments continue to invest, governments continue to innovate, and the wider ecosystem of stakeholders continue to innovate around solutions. Then the second piece is the data part, and this should be data for action. So we've seen a lot of how different countries, among the 15 member organizations in the PaRL Network, I don't know whether the numbers have changed recently, but there's a lot of momentum that the CLA data has created, even persuading organizations to continue thinking about low-cost solutions to support foundational learning. And I think data has been a very critical tool in building that momentum. So I think as we march towards 2030, I'm persuaded that TaRL has a bigger role in data. The struggle, of course, is that countries and even the SDG tracking, the challenges is around the country level tracking. But maybe it's time to step up and actualize the common assessments, because then we would be able to authoritatively, share this and say we have demonstrated and figured out how countries could conduct common assessments around foundational learning, and even be able to address some of the data gaps that we've seen. So I think there's an opportunity to innovate around data from countries through the common assessments.
Definitely data and evidence have been central to TaRL's work. How do you feel the global advocacy of what TaRL members do collectively influences country level implementation?
The innovation in terms of action, I think, is also a strong avenue, and I would say there's already uptake. If I think of Jifunze in Tanzania, if I think about TaRL and the momentum they have created globally through the other actors. If I think about our very own accelerated learning program and just how it left so many organizations in this country doing something in their areas of implementation. But interestingly, accelerated learning program got us a seat on the policy table because we were able to sit and draft the national remediation guidelines, which I think to date is a conversation that has started of how we can have remediation as a core component to support, to fast track the foundational learning agenda. So when we see such milestones, I think we are persuaded that action programs can really, offer solutions, tangible solutions to governments in terms of bridging the gaps. And interestingly, what I've heard is, I remember when we had the Presidential Working Party on education reforms, and they were inviting memoranda from partners on what can be done, where do we see gaps? And they kept asking one question, we want to know what works. We want a solution that works. Who has it? Because that solution that works is what we want to, recommend for uptake, going forward. So there's a hunger for innovation around actionable steps to bridge the challenge.
Thank you so much, Virginia. That was our time. Thank you for the incredible conversation, and for the highlights you've given us, and in-depth knowledge around foundational learning, the implementation in the country. And I'm sure our listeners will benefit highly from this. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you so much, Paul. Always a pleasure. And I must say, I'm really proud to be part of the TaRL Network family. Yes, and here I say Zizi Afrique, not, of course, as an individual, but also as an organization. It's been one space that has really inspired us to think about this and to be very practical in our solutions. And one value that we have really borrowed from the network is the value of innovation and simplicity. Sometimes you could have a very good innovation, but it's so complex that no one understands it. So I think that value of that principle of simplicity in everything that we do, we carry and we cherish it. And even as you go beyond 10, we're really hopeful that we can do more together, and wishing you all the best. And thank you for the chance to speak to you.
Thank you, Virginia, for also making the time.
All right.
I think until next time, thank you very much for keeping it here. Hope to see you again. Thank you.